Okay, welcome. So now we're in class. Class is officially started, and Ken is here as always to help us with today's lesson. So today we're going to be talking about contractions. Contractions are actually, Ken, what are contractions?
Contraction, I think it's can change to can't, cannot change to can't, does not, does not change to doesn't, such kind of thing. I can shorten the words.
Mhm. Do you know why we use contractions in English?
Why, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh, Actually, it's happened to Japanese too because it's easier to speak. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Does not, cannot, or yeah. Also, these words, frequency of speaking that words, using that word is a lot. So when we are talking, maybe shorten, sounds better, easier to speak.
Exactly. And I think that's why we use them also in English. It's not because we're lazy, okay? That's not the point. The idea is that it's just easier. And instead of saying like 20 words, why not say 10?
Right.
So that's basically it. Now, you shouldn't use contractions when you're writing formally or something like that. Even speaking, I guess you shouldn't. But that's just because it's in a more formal situation. So those could be like an interview, maybe, depending. Formal business things, we wouldn't want to use contracts. And sometimes it's difficult because it's so natural to use them. But in everyday language, absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about that. Let me go ahead and share the presentation for you today in just 1 second. No, it's not up. And now let's see if it comes. There it is. I'm like, where is it? Okay, good. So now you can see this, right? Perfect. So contractions. So contractions are abbreviated words that miss out a letter or that probably cut out, I might use. Contract means to make smaller. And so the example here is I am is I'm. Okay, and why, which we've already answered, because it's more informal and natural. It's easier to pronounce. It doesn't, it keeps things flowing and very, like, it's just natural. It is not cutting the sentence, you might sound like a robot otherwise. So, here's some more. This is a very basic level today, okay? And that's fine, but it's sometimes really good. And we've also done ones where the apostrophe S, for example, you have to say if it's the verb is, I should say the verb to be conjugated with is, or it's a possessive, or it's has. So there are some confusing ones out there too. But again, here's the basic one. So actually, I'll read this because then it's true. Okay, so I am and you are. I am a girl. I'm a girl. You're a boy. You're a boy. So this one, so Ken, I wanted to read that because if you read it, it would have been opposite. So. All right. So basically, this is it. Do you have any questions or anything, Ken?
You are a boy and you are a boy is maybe the pronunciation same, right?
You are a boy. You're a boy.
You're a boy, okay.
Yeah, it's the same. Your is the same pronunciation as your. It's the Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. Sound the same. Your. That's all. It's kind of like when we have I've, what you're really only doing is taking like the last sound instead of saying I have, I've, your. So again, that E doesn't make any noise, just like in the verb are and have, we don't pronounce that last E sound. Okay. So perfect. Moving on to the next one. You can see the bottom here, right? Okay, perfect. Why don't you read these for us?
Example of basic contractions is where they are, we are equal, we are people. We are people equal, we are people. Negative is not, are not. He's not a man equal. He's not man. He's not a man. She's not a woman. She's not a woman. They're not men. They aren't men.
Okay, so it sounds a little confusing here. I think, for example, we are people, we're people. And,
We are
sorry.
people. Go ahead, sorry.
That's okay. It's just to emphasize when it's contracted and when it's not contracted. Because really, it turns into a different word. And I have so many people that see, for example, this, we're, and they still pronounce we are. And so it's a common error. And I shouldn't say it's a common error. It happens, but it's a different word. I mean, we are is the same as we're, but we pronounce them differently.
I see.
Okay. So again, the same here. He is not a man. He's not a man. That's a weird sentence. He is we can also do it a little differently where in this last one we see it there. There's different ways of contracting. So we can say he's not, or he, and it would be isn't. Well, I can't here. No, it doesn't want me to do that either. Isn't. Okay, and I'll just type that over here. He isn't a man. Now, there's really no difference. Not one is more correct than the other. It's just the fact of maybe what you're emphasizing. He is not a man. Oh, he's not a man. So it kind of depends on the intonation of the sentence and what word you're going to emphasize. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And the same as she is not a woman, she's not, or we can say she isn't. Okay, a woman. And again, that's perfectly fine. And then in the last one, they are not men, they aren't men. And again, we could say they're not men. So we're just, again, just to see, we can have the verb to be with the subject like in the first two, or in this last one, we have the subject separate, and then the negative is added on with the verb to be. Okay. Perfect. Questions?
And if I say he's not a man and he isn't a man, is there a difference, meaning difference?
Meaning no.
Okay.
No, and a lot of people will ask me, well, what's more common? I don't know. Whatever comes out of your mouth. Like, I'm sure there's sometimes I'll say, oh, he's not a man, or no, he isn't a man. I don't really notice when I say the contractions either with the subject or with the verb, the main verb. So it's a little bit strange because like I said, there's two different rules. Both are okay. Both are accepted. Both, I mean, it has the same meaning, but it's just you choose.
Okay.
All right, good. So moving on. Okay. So what am I? And so this we can do in a couple different ways. As you see, these are people. And the people have a feminine and masculine subject. So what am I? Or you could use the responses I'm. Okay. So that just kind of depends. Okay. So what would you say for the first one? This is what am I?
You mean talking about who? Talking about me or what? These people?
The people.
These people. Okay. First picture. I am. I am a girl.
Okay, good. So I'm just going to write this in the chat box. I am a girl or I'm a girl. No? We could also use a negative as I'm not a boy. Or, of course, I am not a boy. Right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, good. All right, what about the second picture?
Second picture. Sorry. Maybe I am a man. I'm not a girl.
Yes. We can also say he's a guy or man because we're also saying it. We're not directly saying we are that person. But anyway, it's just kind of another situation. But yeah, guy, man, we could either even talk about his job.
Yeah, maybe construction workers. I'm not sure. Orange
Yeah.
kind of uniform like suits and helmet, wearing a helmet. So,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I agree with that. I'm a construction worker, or he's a construction worker would be fine.
Mhm.
And what about the first one? Maybe she doesn't have a profession, but what else could we say about her?
She's listening to, she's talking on the phone, mobile phone.
Hmm. So what could we say?
Mhm. She is,
Mhm.
she's on the phone.
Yes. Okay, she's on the phone or she's talking on the phone. She's on the phone. A lot of times we use the verb to be plus kind of a phrase, I would say. Or it could be a word, for example. The TV's on. So to be on, it's over. It's to be over, finished. Okay, so different words like that. But yes, she's on the phone, she's talking on the phone. Both are perfect. All right. So good. Any other things that we could think of here?
No.
Okay. Now what?
First picture, she's a woman.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
She's a woman who reading documents.
Okay. So what kind of profession could she have?
Office worker. She's a office worker.
Okay, office worker, sure. I was almost thinking even a lawyer, maybe, just because of the way she's dressed. Good. All right, and what about the other picture?
No, he's a boy who are playing soccer.
All right, good. So I have a word.
Who is playing?
The word toddler. Have you seen the word toddler before?
Toddler is a small baby, right?
Well, not necessarily a small baby. A small baby is like a newborn. It's a little bit different. Um, but you could say a toddler is normally someone who's between 2 and 3 years old, I think. So I would say he's a toddler, but the girl on the other page was older, and so I wouldn't say she was a toddler. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we have a newborn baby, toddler, child. I think would be the order. Okay. And what is he doing?
He's playing soccer, or he's playing or playing with a soccer ball.
Exactly. So that's fine. Or he's. Yep, he's. We can use it. He's for many things. All right. I shouldn't have that. E shouldn't be capitalized. He's playing soccer, playing football, depending which English you're using. He's outside. To be outside is something else. It's a verb to be plus a word. He's wearing. We can always. He's wearing. Well, let me ask you, what verb tense is this? He's wearing.
The present continuous.
And why are we using this tense?
Because it is happening now.
Yeah, that's basically it. I have to tell this story. Yesterday, I was talking to my parents, and my dad goes to his father's house because he's growing corn on the cob. You know what that is, right? Corn on the cob.
Corn on the cob. What does that mean? Corn on the cob.
Well, you know, corn.
Yeah, I know.
It's when it's all together on one. We call it an ear of corn. Okay. It's I don't know how to tell you this. It's the typical barbecues in the United States. Summer. It's when the corn isn't in individual pieces, but it's all together in one big piece with all the little kernels of corn.
I got it.
And yesterday, my dad was like, "The corn is tasseling," and I was like, "What?" I obviously knew what he meant because I know what a tassel is in English. A tassel is more sometimes a decoration. You're gonna have to look up a picture for that. I think that's how you spell it. I've never spelled the word tassel before. So, and I know that when corn grows, I don't know which part, but it's the beginning of the ear of corn. And so my dad said, "The corn's tasseling." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "What?" I'd never heard the word tassel before used as a verb. And so I commented on it. My dad was like, "Well, that's what it's doing." I was like, "I know, that's fine. It's not incorrect. You said it correctly." But, and then I thought, I was going to go in the whole, present continuous tense, and I thought, no, it's not worth it. My parents aren't going to understand. But it was just funny. So anyway, so that's kind of a funny story from yesterday. The corn is tasseling. I've never heard of the verb before. That's all. So that was a little learning experience for me. Okay. On this next page, so what are we? What are we?
First picture, they are men who are wearing sunglasses.
Okay. Yes. And now when they're asking the question directly, what are we? We are still talking about their gender, technically. So what are we? We are men, for example, or they are men because we are not in that picture. You could say they are musicians. And so when we're going to conjugate these, we're going to use were and there. And now this there is also pronounced the same as there and there.
Right.
Which we've seen before.
Sorry?
We've seen there, and there for pronunciation as the same. So,
Right.
or you, as you said, they're wearing sunglasses. So perfect. Okay, good. And then in the other picture?
They are women who are working at the office.
Okay, good. So we're using the contractions in different ways. So they're working, we're using in the present continuous tense, and they're women as just the verb to be in the present simple. Perfect. Any other questions?
No.
Pretty simple today, right? All right. So, what about this one? What do you have?
You. Pence is a proper person.
Right. Technically, I would have said, what is it? Because these are things, but what are you?
So, it's a pencil.
Is that a pencil or a pen?
Yes, it's a pen.
Yeah, it looks like a pen. Or it's a really fancy pencil. Okay. What are you? That's basically it, because I was trying to think, well, what does it do? And if the pen were speaking, it would say I write, not I'm writing, because it's not moving. plus it's a picture. So what are you? I'm a pen. I'm a pen. I guess if you're asking the picture directly. And what about the other picture?
It's a book.
Okay, good. It's book. Or if the book was answering,
I am a book.
I'm a book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Well, I don't think there's really anything else here. I mean, we could say I'm white, for example, or I'm red and black and gold. So you can use it in different contexts, not just what is it. All right.
Do you say this kind of note organize our schedule?
Agenda.
I mean, this kind of notebook. Nowadays people confirm the schedule on the Google Calendar or something, but I used to use this kind of address book. Okay.
Yeah, that's for addresses specifically. It depends. I mean, this one looks like it's a phone. It's for phone numbers.
Okay.
So I guess you could say a phone book.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, a phone book is what they deliver to you to your house that has like all of the local numbers and people and stuff like that. But I don't see why, it couldn't be a phone book if it's used for phone numbers. So, perfect. Now, quiz time. So, contractions quiz. Which one of these is an example of a contraction? A, B, or C?
B.
Why?
Because A is not even a word or phrase.
Correct.
And I am is not a contraction. I'm is a contraction for I am. So B.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. You're right. The first one, letter A, I'm, isn't correct.
Right.
And I think the subject I is the only, the subject I is the only subject that has to be capitalized. Do you know why?
I've never thought about that. Why? Maybe subject mark or something. Capitalize function of capitalization is kind of it. Reader can easily recognize what is the subject.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm just looking it up. It says something about the Canterbury Tales from the 1300s. Because the letter I was a little bit taller than the lowercase letter, and it says just from that point on it was normally capitalized. Huh. I don't know, I think that's interesting. I guess I didn't realize that either. But it says that that's basically it. Oh, and there's more information. English is the only one that does German and romantic. I just do this, but I do not recall you. No, I don't know. I'll have to read. It might be an interesting class actually to talk about capitalization, because I know in German they capitalize all of their nouns, which to me seems very strange. But I mean, obviously, it's not my first language. So interesting. Good. So why do we use contractions?
Because they are obligatory, because they are shorter, more natural. Because B, because they are shorter, more natural, and informal.
Yep, they're not obligatory. And even we talked about earlier that you don't have to, you shouldn't use them in formal situations. Okay, and that's why it says informal here. Okay. And they're international. I don't think so. I'm trying to think.
English.
In Spanish. Oh, yeah, Spanish has contractions. Not many.
Mhm.
I can only think of 2 at the moment, actually. But anyway, yes. So in other languages, they do use them. All right. What is the contraction of we are?
We are.
We're, yep, very good. C is just a terrible one for me. I hate.
Maybe it's a mistake.
It is a mistake. I shouldn't say I hate that, but as a teacher, it's frustrating because if you're trying to use a contraction, you're eliminating other letters, and here you have all of the letters plus all you're eliminating is the space in between here, you know? So yeah, please don't do this one. Please don't do that. This, what is this word?
Wow.
And what does it mean?
Usually past tense, be verb past tense and for plural.
Okay, very good. Can you write me a sentence, please, in the chat box with an example?
They were, and they were Americans. They were Americans. And now they were, they changed their nationality.
They were Americans. Very good. Yeah, that's it. Just in the past, they were Americans. What are they now? Did they change citizenship?
Or in hypothetical situation, if I were an American, I would speak English fluently.
Okay. And what grammar tense did you just use?
I kind of conditional.
Yes. Which one?
I forgot. Maybe I mean second condition.
Second conditional. And when do we use the second conditionals?
Like hypothetical. If I were an American.
Exactly. Yes. Very good. See, and this is yesterday when my dad was talking about tasseling and, you know, the corn was tasseling. I couldn't get that out of my head. It was the funniest thing. And then, like I said, I was going to go into, well, it's tasseling, you know, because it's in the moment, it's in the process, and that's when you use the present continuous. And, you know, to spell it, you wouldn't double the L at the end because we don't double the L except for in travel, which is traveling. Like all of these things came to my head, and I'm like, whoa. Way too technical conversation for your parents. So I just thought it was really funny, but yeah. Now I've forgotten. The present continuous. Anyway, yes, that's finished. Very good. So grammar. Can't get the grammar out of me. Once I start seeing grammar, that's all I see. So, all right. So number 4 says, what is a contraction of you are?
The third one, you are. And the B is not correct. And A is the meaning different. Your
Okay.
hand and your something.
Good. Yes. And so the letter A is what, a possessive pronoun? Your hand, your hat, your cat, things like that, right? I'm sorry, B, you don't know which one I'm talking about. If not, letter B, you're correct, is not a word either. You know, sometimes as a lazy native speaker, I would write this. But obviously in the letter B in number 3, you can't. So because it's just a completely different word as we've discussed. And then yes, of course, number 3 is correct. Okay. So very good. Let's move down here. Okay. Ooh. Pronouncing contracted words can be difficult. It's common in speaking, not in writing. Again, this is what I was talking about before, is we don't do it when writing formal things. If you're writing to your friends or something, sure. So yes. So listen to the pronunciation of contractions. The affirmative is the basics, okay? So I'm just going to read these, and then Ken, if you want to, you can too, okay? So I am, I'm. You are, you're. He is, he's. She is, she's. We are, we're. They are there. Ken, do you want to try?
Okay. I am, I'm. You are, you're. He is, is. She is, she's. We are, we're. They are, there.
Good. So this is probably somewhat of a, this isn't like phonetics, but actually written out with letters, not the phonetic alphabet. So this could be kind of difficult. I know here in Spain, they do the same thing. They put or write the pronunciation of the word next to it normally, or how it sounds to them, because the letters here in Spain are a little bit different. Plus, they have a double L sound, which is like exactly the same as the Y, yeah, kind of words. And I just wanted to mention here too is that you can see he's and she's. The pronunciation is more like the Z sound. Okay, there was one time that we had spoken about the different sounds of the S's. Well, we have sh, which is one word, and then she's, and I can't remember exactly now, but there's certain cases when the S sounds like a Z sound and other times it doesn't. And then, of course, when it's mixed with an H or a T, it also changes. Very confusing. You know, I always say that the grammar in English is actually pretty easy, I think. Once you understand what grammar is and the verb tenses and things, I think grammar is really easy. The pronunciation in English is not easy, and that I will give credit to everyone who is not a native speaker, because it is difficult. And sometimes, well, why is it like this? And I don't know. So, what do you think about the pronunciation in English?
Yeah, it's difficult because it has more sound than Japanese. Also, irregular change. Also, spelling is complicated because some spelling is irregular without rules. So I heard, BBC documentary. The reason why irregular spelling is used a lot in English because when the printer was invented, the craftsman of printing, documents spelled their own way. Before that, my professor who studied English literature said English spelling is free. Free. People write, English word freely. So, and then printer was invented. It was regularized. Standardized. And then such kind of irregular spelling sometimes, became a standard, like island, Island. Maybe some people maybe actually pronounce Island or something in England, probably. So,
Really?
but anyway, now it should pronounce island, not Island.
Well, and that's the difficult thing too. I mean, we've also spoken about in other classes, the silent letters that we have in English. And I mean, you can see here that the E at the end of the word is basically not pronounced ever. Plus in Spanish too, I mean, what they do is they'll write a word and it sounds exactly how it's written. And so that's the other thing that they say to me is, well, why isn't it written the same as it's spoken? I don't know. I mean, I can't help you with this. All I can do is help you learn the language, not I don't know the whys behind everything. But I know that when I went to Belgium just over 3 years ago, I was in search of my ancestors as well, because I have some family who's from there. And so when I messaged the town hall before we left, and I said, hey, if you have any information about these people, that would be great. And so I emailed them the name of my the last name of my great grandma. And I think it was spelled 2 different ways. And they came back and they told me, they said, here we have about 4 other ways of how to write the last name, because back in the 1800s, there really wasn't a set way of writing it yet. But obviously there was a way to pronounce it. So there were 2 different ways to pronounce it as well. And so it was just it's really interesting how everything evolves, with time. So yeah, it's kind of crazy in general, but what about in Japanese? How do you pronounce your words? Because you have to memorize everything, don't you? If it's not written with the
Yeah,
ABC alphabet?
in terms of writing, Japanese writing system is very complicated. Two types of Japanese letters, alphabets, and the a lot of Chinese characters. Chinese characters are not a letter; it's a character. So every single character meaning and pronounces differently. Also, sometimes one character has basically at least two different pronunciations, one character, and some character has more.
Mm-hmm.
So reading Japanese and also name, it's very irregular kind of pronunciation for the character is used. So reading Japanese name or it's very difficult. Even the natives often check the dictionary also to read the Chinese character. Also, there's a more complicated rules about the combination of Chinese character and these kind of two types of letters in Japanese. It's very complicated.
Yeah, I can see that. And anyway, so yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is not one language is just super easy. For example, they say Arabic is really easy. Well, if I'm sorry, for me, if I see words that are written, this happens with Russian and I'm sure Ukrainian as well, and obviously other Greek, I think as well, that they don't use the same ABC alphabet as we do. And so when you don't have that, it's okay. What? I mean, that's a lot to learn. And so plus they write opposite. Instead of writing from left to right, they write right to left. So, it's opposite. You're using a different alphabet system. The pronunciation is super different in Arabic, and so I don't know if they're referring to the grammar is easy, but I think in general every single language has something that's challenging. No one language is easy in all aspects. So that's that's what I was thinking there. Good. Well, why don't we continue here? On to the negatives. Okay. I am not. I'm not. You are not. Uh-oh. You're not. I'm sorry, you aren't. I'm inventing the other, I'm saying the other one. So what I wanted to mention here too is with I'm not, we cannot join the verb to be that's conjugated am and not. It is I'm not and that's it. The other ones do have different contractions. So you are not, you aren't, or you're joining the subject and the verb to be again, not. Okay. So he is not, he isn't, or he's not. She is not, she isn't, she's not. We're not, we aren't, we're not, they're not, they aren't, they're not. I think for me, it's personally easier to say the subject and the verb to be together and then add the negative. And maybe that's because, in the affirmative area, it's joined together, just like this one. Oops, the first one. So, Ken, why don't you go ahead and read these?
Okay. I am not. I'm not. You are not. You aren't. He is not. He isn't. She is not. She isn't. We are not. We aren't. They are not. They aren't.
A little bit of a tongue twister, huh? Right? I mean, it is kind of difficult to pronounce a little bit, so, but good. All right, well, in this case, let's move on. Okay, so identify the correct contraction. I'm. So basically, to say if it's correct or not. So I'm, is it correct or not?
Correct.
He's.
Correct.
We're.
Correct.
She's.
Correct.
You're.
Correct.
There.
Correct.
Isn't.
Correct.
Aren't.
Correct.
Yep. So all of them are
Correct.
correct. Perfect. So that was pretty simple. And that's basically it. Because let's see. We have I'm, he's, we're, she's, you're, there as the subjects and the verb to be that is conjugated. Actually, she's we don't really know, and he's we don't really know, but that's okay. And then isn't and aren't are correct because we have the verb to be with the negative. Okay, so they're all correct, but the last two are just a little bit different. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Here we go. So, pen. We have a pen here, a girl and a boy. So, how would you complete this sentence? And of course, there are other ways to do this.
There is a pen.
Yep. Or there's a pen, right? So, how would you write this? How would you write this sentence? Could you do that in the chat box? There is a pen. Okay, we're contracting here today, Ken.
Okay, sorry.
There's. Yep. There's a pen. That's all. What about the next one?
There's a girl.
And how would you write that?
She's.
She's good. And the last one?
He's a boy.
Very good. There you go. Perfect. Good. Well, I don't have any other questions here, so we can continue on. Oh, maybe I lied. This isn't. No. How are you? No, I lied. That was it then.
If we cover the materials, I have one question.
Yeah.
Ain't. That's
Oh.
Because it's not regular Slanglish, but
all right. So
ain't.
Let me look up some information here. I really, one moment. Because ain't technically isn't a word, all right? However, it's saying that ain't is a contraction for am not, is not, are not, has not, have not.
So up to the context.
Yeah.
I see.
Wow, I had no idea that's what that meant. We've always said ain't a word unless it's in the dictionary. That's kind of a phrase that we would say. So ain't a word. I don't know if it's in the dictionary or not. I'm sure.
I think it's a kind of it's a spoken language, so it's slang.
Yeah.
And do you use it in your daily life or?
I personally do not. It was more of a growing up thing. We'd say ain't, but no, we don't. However, you can say if it ain't broken, don't fix it. If it's not broken, I don't know. Hold on.
How does it sound to native speakers? It's
like lower class level. It's not. You don't sound intelligent saying it.
Okay, I got it. But it's in a rock song lyrics a lot or pop song, so.
Yeah, well, that's true. It says it was popular in the 18th century. And it says it's perfectly normal in many dialects and informal contexts in both North America and Britain. So there you go. There's our dialect and accent conversation. And it says today it's not part of normal English. Okay. And it should not be used in formal contexts. So like I said, it's super, super colloquial.
I see. What do you think about wanna gonna?
Perfect.
Do you use it also?
Yeah.
Is it a situation, or not better to use this contraction in
It's
English?
gonna make you sound more native, honestly.
Okay. Not so. Uh, like, I think many natives using in their when they are speaking, wanna gonna.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's like I said, it makes you sound more native. Wanna and gonna, it's I wanna go. If you say
Yeah.
I wanna go versus I want to go, you're it just making it easier. Plus, one thing we do in English is I want to go is what we're doing, and this is gonna look weird, but oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't know what I just did. What we're gonna say is I want to go. I want to go. If you do start joining the sounds together, because want and to, want ends with the T sound, to begins with the T sound. So we're gonna join that together. I want to go. I want to go. So that's the other thing too. This is I don't know if it's a word grouping. And that happens, especially with the T and the D sounds. One I wanted to go, for example. I wanted to go. I wanted to go. Wanted to go. I wouldn't really, I mean, I'm American anyway, and so I'm not going to say I wanted to go. I wanted to go. There's just a lot of stops and lots of sounds there. And so, in order to avoid that, we're just going to like either eliminate them or join them together to make it easier.
I want to go is I wanted to go.
I want
Oh,
to go. I wanted to go.
I see. I wanted to go change to what I want to go in American English.
I
Oh,
wanted to go. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
I
you
got it.
just don't say that T. Makes
Mhm.
life so much easier. Once you get used to it, I mean, now that I'm a teacher, I have to actually pronounce a lot of my sounds, and I do it without even trying. It's just natural. I'll read something and, oh, what is it? It's a pen. I'm writing. Where I would normally say, what is it? It's a pen. I'm writing. Writing, writing. So I use the
Right.
D sound a lot when it's a T.
Yes.
Actually, I have a class like that. I almost want to say it's in August.
Okay.
D and the T sound in the American English, as I'm an expert in the American English language. Expert, native, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, wanna and gonna are definitely used. I personally would never use ain't, especially nowadays. Being a teacher in the United States, I think if it's used, it would have been in Georgia. In the south of the United States, it's more common to use it there. Um,
Okay.
but I think ain't is kind of like out of the window. I'm almost curious to see if people who are like 15 and under have ever heard of the word ain't, because I wouldn't
Okay.
think so.
It's a bit old expression, not so
Hmm.
fashionable now. Okay.
I don't live in the States anymore, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I I don't really know what to say. I don't think so.
I
So
see.
good. All right. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, thank you.
Okay. So perfect. Well, that was interesting. So basically, we're finished for today. Next class, we'll be working on advanced conditionals. I'm really excited to do the class, but I have not prepared it yet. Just so everyone knows, I'm not procrastinating. I just have other things to do, and relax is one of them. So I'll be working on that tomorrow. I'm really, really, really excited to do it. I've never done an advanced conditionals class. I'm a little nervous as well because there's going to be structures that sound good to me, but there's really no reason why that we say it
Mm,
like that, and that's going to be the difficult part. So, the normal conditionals you can always say, if I go to this place, I will buy blah blah blah, or if I had time, if I were you. We always have this the base of the conditionals. Now, the ones that we'll be looking at on Wednesday are going to be advanced, and if you don't understand, don't worry.
okay.
Perfect. Any other questions then for today?
No, thank you very much.
All right. Well, enjoy your hot weather and your ocean day. It's a holiday in Japan, right? Today's the day?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
today.
Well,
Yeah.
happy ocean day. Have fun, Ken, and hopefully we will see you on Wednesday, okay?
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thanks, you too. Bye.